Bonjour, hi, hello, and welcome to our Applied Learning series. This is a series where we're giving insight as admission officers and guidance to you as potential applicants, as sharing our perspectives on how we consider reviewing applications, the ins and outs as we're behind the scenes reviewing and making those final decisions. Today we get to dig into holistic admissions, share our insights and perspectives on what that means, and again, what did we think about as we were reading your applications. My name is Niyo Moraza-Keeswood. I'm one of our Senior Assistant Directors of Undergraduate Admissions. I use they, he pronouns, and I'm excited to be joined today by my co-host, Emma.
Hi everyone, my name is Emma Bausch. I'm an Associate Director of Admission here at Northwestern, and I use she, her pronouns. Holistic admissions, you may have heard about it before, you may have heard of holistic review, lots of colleges use it, and there are lots of different definitions of it. But here at Northwestern, for us, what it means is that we consider context. So above all at Northwestern, we're looking for top students who did really well in high school and who really challenged themselves when they were in high school. Northwestern is a really great place where there's lots of curious students. You're going to learn a lot of new stuff. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be really active. And we just really love when students made the most of those opportunities that were available to them.
And as admission officers, we are taking in your stories. When we're reviewing your applications, we want to learn about the different layers of your experiences. We're also human beings, and we know there's a lot of complexities that come with that, and intersections of both the context of our location, environment, and how that will impact your high school journey. So we are in many ways putting our detective hats on as we're reviewing your applications and really trying to understand the layers of that context. But we have to remember we only have what information you provide us. So as we're going through, we're going to dig into some of the different components of your application and how we consider those and what we're learning about you beyond your local context in getting that insight. So we have the fullest picture of what information you're providing. One of our first stops when we're looking at your application will be your transcript. So as Emma shared, we're at first and foremost considering rigor. So Northwestern is a rigorous environment, so we want to make sure you have that class foundation to be able to do well, succeed. Of course, we provide robust academic support here, but we still want to make sure you are being able to thrive. So we'll get a school report, and that will give us insight into the different curriculum available, the rigor of opportunities, what class subjects were offered, maybe any gaps in those class subjects or teacher turnover, insight like that. That gives us insight into your academic journey. And again, we're wanting to see how have you challenged yourself with the rigor available to you. But we also take local context into mind. No, it's very important that we're not comparing transcripts across different schools. We know not all schools will be offering the same curriculum or resources or funding, and that also applies on the state level too. We know all at the state level, education systems will differ. So we're very much reading with that geographical context in mind. Em and I both recruit within the Midwest. We are on the ground in the fall, visiting high schools, learning from your counselors, learning from your own experiences, what it's like to be a student within your own unique high school setting. And that's really important for us when we're reviewing your application. From then, we're going to move on down to the recommendation letters.
Yeah, so recommendation letters are a really great way, an additional way that we get to learn the context. So when you apply to Northwestern, we require that you submit 2 letters of recommendation to us. And one needs to be from your school counselor. And they do a really good job of putting you in the context of your school. So we'll talk maybe about the extracurricular activities that you're involved in, the course selection that you've been taking. And they also really provide some additional information about the high school itself. So for example, maybe you only have 1 year of French on your transcript. And so maybe it was your first year, but second year, it's not there. Your guidance counselor may tell us the reason why they're not there is because, we weren't able to get another teacher to teach French until your 3rd year. So that's just one way that we can learn sort of about those intricacies of the high school. Another one could be maybe you had block scheduling your first 2 years, but your second 2 years you changed. That's another thing that we'll learn from the counselor. We also ask that you ask a teacher to send us a recommendation letter. And your teachers do a really good job of putting you in the context of a classroom environment. So we always ask that you select a teacher who knows you really well and who can speak to your strengths inside of a college classroom and here on our campus community. Ideally, the teacher also taught you your junior or senior year of high school, and also ideally in a core subject. Now, the thing is that choose someone. It's not even necessarily the teachers that know you really well. It's not even the best grade you got. It might be the teacher that you just really connected with the best. Maybe the teacher where you showed the best example of group work. The teacher where this class, maybe initially you were getting a B, but you worked really hard. You attended those open office hours and you really worked to earn that A. Maybe that would be a great example, just to sort of show that you're prepared for the rigors of Northwestern. Also, 2 letters is the minimum. There's actually no limit on how many recommendation letters you can send us here. This is not an invitation to send us 30 letters. But if you really think that there are 2 different teachers that can really speak to your strengths, you can ask 2 different teachers. Or maybe you're on the football team, you're on the debate team, you're really active in theater. You can ask the theater director, your debate coach, your football coach to also send you a recommendation letter, just to sort of talk about teamwork. Collaboration is really important. Here at Northwestern, we have a very collaborative environment. Maybe those teachers and coaches would be able to speak to that. And similarly, if you have a part-time job, and having a part-time job involves a lot of sort of a time management, also collaboration. Maybe you want to ask the person who's your manager there too. So we get a lot of information from you and about your context from those recommendation letters.
Yes. And so as we transition from having an external person speaking about you, we'll look towards your activities list where you're going to speak and give us more insight into what you're doing outside that classroom. And as Emma was saying, we're really thinking about what kind of community member will you be. On Northwestern's campus, we have over 500 student organizations, and we know a large part of that student experience is how you're getting involved outside of the classroom. So we want to make sure our students are going to be fitting into that culture of getting involved and getting immersed in the community. So when we review your extracurriculars, again, we're going to take context and location to mind. We know not all rural students might have access to an abundance of extracurricular opportunities. Not all schools will have those resources to host maybe a variety of different organizations. So we're going to be paying attention to quality of experience and engagement. Maybe it's an activity you've done over many years, or maybe you found and stepped into a leadership opportunity. We'll get insight into if there weren't opportunities available, did you start your own organization? And tells us a lot about what kind of student you're and the leadership and the self-starting it took to find and make that opportunity happen. We'll be mindful of your capacity and how many hours you're getting involved. We know it's a lot to be able to balance both schoolwork, homework, different projects on top of balancing your different extracurriculars. And no, not all students have that capacity to take on an immense load of extracurriculars. But it really just informs us what you're doing outside the classroom, what your passions are, what quality of engagement you're doing, and gives us an additional lens into whether capacity for other external activities or how that might impact coursework. But at the core of it, what will your engagement with our Northwestern community look like? From there, it's where your voice will come front and center is with your student essays.
So we get a lot of information about you from your personal essay, if you choose to submit it, and your supplemental essays. And we always recommend go back and watch the other applied learning on supplemental essays. And we love getting to know the real you from those, but if there was an opportunity or something that you just wanted us to know about that you didn't have space to do so in those additional essays, write in the additional information section. If you want to let us know, for example, about if there was something that affected your grades one year. So for example, maybe your junior year of high school, you broke your leg one semester and it affected your grades. If that's the case, we want to know about that because that's another way that we consider context. You might also be really passionate about something that you weren't able to share on the other part of the application. So maybe you got involved in a research project, like maybe you're really passionate about anthropology, but it wasn't offered at your high school. So you did lots of information, literature reviews, you spoke to people, you're going to be presenting the research later. That's the sort of thing we want to know. Tell us about that in a couple paragraphs. Maybe you're really active in volunteering, or maybe in your religious community, and you weren't able to really sort of give us the full scope of what you're doing in your extracurricular list. Let us know about that elsewhere. And so the whole application really is allowing us to learn more about you.
Yes. And we know you are dealing with word limits as well. There's a word limit on the additional information section, essays and whatnot. So know that there is still an opportunity to share more information if you do run out of space. You can always email us with any additional documents, letters, update letters, whether you have recent awards, you're starting new activities, or had different research projects, experiences that come up after you've submitted your letter or after you submit your application. You can still send us that information. You'll gain access to your applicant status portal, which allows you to directly upload documents. So it's really important, again, take that step back and really consider the arc of your story. Did I have any experiences that impacted me that I haven't really been able to highlight? And giving that insight to your admission officers will be important. It's a process of advocating for yourself, sharing all the different hurdles, things like that you might have had experience and overcome. But for us, we only have what information you provide. We can only make so many inferences, and we'll do our best if there is questions that arise, say if there was a gap in your curriculum or a noticeable drop or something that was hinted at within your application essays, your counselor letter, things like that. Well, we will take those steps to reach out to your counselor or other administrators to try to get more information. But ideally, you'll be able to share that with us. And so being very mindful of that as you're putting your story together. What are those other instances that might not have been natural to highlight in your essays that you can put into your additional information section or submit to us after the fact when you've submitted your application. And that's us. That's what we'll take that step back, and that's your story that you're sharing with us. Yeah.
So, in closing, we really encourage you to be yourself. We love reading these applications. We love getting to know the real you. Applying to college can be really fun and exciting and challenging, and thinking about imagining all the places and all the things you might do and learn and study. So we really always encourage you to be yourself, and we love getting to know the real you. We really encourage you to check out other applied learning series here on our Northwestern Admissions YouTube channel, as well as lots of tours, and there's just lots of information here.
Yes, all that different research and insight will be really helpful and impactful when you're putting your application together. As Emma said, we want to see your authentic voices in your application, and that's when we get really excited, hearing your natural passions and how you're going to get engaged and become, what's your vision for becoming a future Northwestern community member. But with that, thank you all for spending the time reviewing this video and learning from us, and we're sending you all good thoughts as you work on your college applications. And with that, go Cats!
Go Cats!